my pastor, Reverend Adams, Reverend Baby, to you, my brothers and sisters in Christ. Thank God for his assignment again. Before we go on, let's have a word of prayer. Turn God, our Father, we come this morning, Father, first to say thank you, Father. Father, then we just come standing to ask your permission to stand behind the sacred desk and put your word this morning right now, Father. We ask right now that you just remove wandering and it be more you sin right now, Father. We ask right now that you just bless me as I speak to your people. Let them have an ear to hear right now, Father. Let them hear the message and not look at the messenger right now, Father. We ask right now that you just let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable unto you right now, Father. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. 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 Thank God again for allowing me to stand before you. And I thank him for 20 years in the ministry. October the 19th. 20 years. Amen. But if you have your Bibles, I'm not going to hold you. 11:57. So give me 5 minutes. So turn to John, the 9th chapter, verses 24 and 25. John 9, 24 and 25. And it reads, Then again called they the man that was blind, and said unto him, Give God the praise. We know that this man is a sinner. He answered and said, Whether he be a sinner or no, I know not. One thing I know, that whereas I was blind, now I see. And if you would just allow me for a few minutes to talk about I Won't Complain. I've had some good days. I've had some hills to climb. I've had some weary days and lonely nights. But when I look around and when I think things over, all of my good days, they outweigh my bad days. So I won't complain. Sometimes my cloud hangs low. I can hardly see the road. But I've asked this question, Lord, why so much pain? Oh, he knows just best for me. Although my weary eyes cannot see, so I'll just say, I won't complain. Have you ever been around someone and all they did was complain? Complaining about this, complaining about that.
Yes.
And I have, my own response to them is, you have a roof over your head, you have food to eat, you have clothes on your back, you are breathing, and so on. So why are you complaining about something that is really irrelevant? Stop complaining and move on, because there's someone that is far off worse than you. And they're grateful for the little things that they do have. But the songwriter says, I'm blessed, I'm blessed. And as I look around me and I realize that I am blessed. But do you ever take the time out to just count your blessings? Name your blessings one by one, or count your blessings to see what the Lord has done for you. When you are discouraged, thinking all is lost, what you need to do is just look at your blessings. Church, we are living in an ungrateful time. People acknowledge their problems opposed to their blessings. If there ever was a time of grumbling and mumbling, and fussing and bickering, and complaining and being ungodly, we're living in that time. And yes, it is ungodly when you don't look at your blessings. It's ungrateful when you just don't think about what God has done for you. And how is it that when we sing so, refusing to look at our blessings, that blessed assurance? When I heard folks singing praises unto God, I remember Psalms 9 and 11, and it says, sing praises to our God, which dwelleth in Zion, declare among the people of his doom. Psalms 47 and 6 says, sing praises to God, sing praises unto our King. And Psalms 147 and 7 says, sing unto the Lord with thanksgiving. But when I hear folks singing songs like Coming Up on the Rough Side of the Mountain, people got trouble everywhere. Some may had it hard coming up through the years, but I can't help but wonder if maybe a person singing knows what a spiritual song is all about. That a song ought to make you feel happy and not sad. And then I wonder if that person even ever looked at their blessings. Maybe you did not come up on the rough side of the mountain, but just look at your blessings. God has a way of getting us to look at our blessings. He lets you come up on the rough side, then he lets you go through a smooth valley. He lets you take some punishment in life, then he will give you a little mercy. He lets you go through the storm and the rain. Then he lets you see some sunshine every now and then. He lets you have a few days of sorrow. Then he gives you a few days of joy. He lets you have some enemies, but then he gives you some friends that sit closer than a brother. But just look at your blessings this morning. Maybe people don't have trouble everywhere, but it shouldn't surprise us, for Job 14 and 1 says the man that is born of a woman is of a few days and is full of trouble. John 14 and 1 says, let not your heart be troubled. Ye believe in God, believe also in me. For in my Father's house are many mansions. For I know personally, trouble don't last always. So just look at your blessings. Maybe you did have it hard coming up through the years, but just look at your blessings. It doesn't matter how hard you had it coming up through the years, but with the help of God, you can say, I made it. And is there anybody in here this morning to say that you made it? And with the grace of God, we all have made it. But I listened to as the songwriter said, I'm blessed. As I look around, I realize that I'm blessed. Some folks spend lifetimes complaining about what they don't have or what they need. But I come to tell you to just look around and see how blessed that you are. At the time of our text this morning, we find a blind man with an unusual case of blindness. Of 6 miracles of blindness reported in the Bible, this is the only case of blindness, and this is the only case where the man was born blind. This man had never looked in the mirror and saw himself. This man had never seen the clothes that he put on his back. This man was born blind from his mother's womb. And consequently, this caused all kinds of questions. Everyone was curious, all kinds, as to how this man was born blind. Rumors began to spread because nowhere in Jerusalem did you find or did you hear of any babies being born blind. Everybody knew this man had been born blind. And you know how some people are, some blind people are. They'll stand on the corner with a tin cup saying, "Help the blind." And this blind man was known for being a beggar. He begged so much that no one knew his name. They called him that blind begging man. But thank God for Jesus, who was passing by. As he passed by, he saw the man who had been blind since birth. The disciples followed behind him saying, "Master, who did sin? This man or his parents? To be born blind, to have something wrong with you, you don't have to sin." Sometimes God can just take you through something, so down the road you won't complain. The songwriter wrote, "I won't complain." But if we just realize what God is doing for us in our lives, we shouldn't have a reason to complain. These disciples convinced that this man's affliction were of consequences of his sin. But you notice when people get sick and people go to see them, they'll say, "I remember when he was so low down, or he did that and he did this. That's why he's sick." But sometimes God works in mysterious ways. Yet all suffering is not related to sin. But these disciples, they were thoroughly convinced that it was sin that was involved in the blind man's situation. Well, I think I need to tell you this morning that these disciples had good reasons for asking that question. Even though they were just like some of us, dipping in other folks' business. They were dipping in other folks' business, nosy and meddling around other folks' business as well. So the disciples asked Jesus, "Master, who did sin? This man or his parents?" Jesus said to his disciples, "Neither one has sinned. This man is all right with me. His parents, they love the Lord. But this man was born blind so the world could see that Jesus is real." Sometimes Jesus has to take us through something just to let us know he is real. Sometimes he has to come into our families and break them up just to bring them back together to let us know he is real. Sometimes we have to just lose a job and ask God for another one, and he gives us an even better job. Sometimes he has to let our children get into trouble to let us know that he is a trouble bearer. But let me ask you this morning, is there anybody here besides me know that God is real? Songwriter says, "Jesus is real. I can feel him deep down in my soul." Some of us don't have what we ask for because we're not obedient to the Lord. But the Lord said, "I need you to surrender." We must learn how to surrender unto the Lord. I heard him tell Saul, "Obedience is better than sacrifice." When the blind man left the pool, he was able to see again. Believe me, when God blesses you, those same people who talked about you when you were down and out, they will talk about you still when you receive your blessing. What do you need to do? What you need to do is look at your blessings and stop complaining. Everybody started questioning the man, saying, how is it that you are able to see again, or to see? You were born blind. You sat at the street and begged everybody for money. But the blind man looked up and said, a man came my way, and he spit on the ground, and he took the spatter, and he made a clay. Then he told me to go wash. But I see 3 points in this passage. The first one I see is the conflict of the blind, of the healing, which was between Jesus and between Jesus and the Jews. Because the issue of healing on the Sabbath day was an issue and a conflict to the Jews. Then I see the confusion of his healing. The Pharisees are shown by their handling this case in a group and their requests and their repeated questions about why is he being able to see. Then the last one is the confirmation of his healing. Because if we look at verse 25, it says that he answered and said, whether he be a sinner or no, I know not. I know one thing, that whereas I was blind, now I see. So that was his confirmation. See, when the Lord tells you to go, you need to go, church. Some folks didn't come to the church because maybe the weather was bad or they were too tired from last night's activities. We need to learn to be steadfast and unmovable. We need to learn to trust God so he can heal us. See, if God can heal me, he can do the same for you. So I learned not to complain. See, everybody will ask, what was wrong with you? Nothing is wrong. Tell them that I was in the hands of God and he healed me. And for that, we need to give God the praise. God, we need to know, church, we need to know God is real. The church needs to know that the Lord can open up blinded eyes. The church needs to know that God can unstop deaf ears. He can feed the hungry. For that, I won't complain. See, when you're down and out, didn't the Lord pick you up? When you were down, didn't the Lord make a way for you? He turned your life around and placed your feet on a solid ground. So here we find Jesus telling the disciples that this man was not born blind because of sin, nor because of his parents' sin. Well, Jesus, he spat on the ground, then made the clay and anointed the man's eyes. He told him to go wash your eyes in the pool of Siloam. Sometimes there's a blessing in just being obedient. Sometimes we must obey God if we don't want to suffer the consequences. The Bible says it is obedient to bless God in all ways. We must learn how to obey the Lord. If the Lord said it, that settles it. It doesn't matter what you're going through. It doesn't matter how bad you've been. But let me tell you that there is nothing in the pool of Siloam. There was nothing in the spit for the blind man's eyes. And there was nothing in the clay for the blind man. See, when God blesses you, you need to give him the praise. Because as I look over my life, I can't help but give God praise. Because I know he has brought me a mighty long way. Sick and gave up on, I didn't complain. I continued to praise God because I knew if he healed the blind man, if he healed the woman with the issue of blood, I knew he could do the same for me. See, I once was blind, but thank God I can see. This man may have been born blind and a sinner, but God changed his life. Regardless of how folks criticize you, how they talk about you, how friends become few, just look at your blessings, church. Regardless of how many times you had to cry at night, had hard times, but look at your blessings. How many of you look at your blessings today? May not live in a mansion, but he said, in my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you. So just look at your blessings. Thank God for what you do have. You might not pour it up in a Mercedes-Benz, a Jaguar, a Lexus, Cadillac, or a BMW, but look at your blessings. You got to the church house somehow. Somebody today really doesn't know how blessed that they really are. But I came to tell you, as I take my seat, that somebody wants to be in your shoes today. Somebody don't have legs to walk, have a tongue to talk, ears but can't hear. Somebody woke up this morning but didn't get up. Somebody woke up this morning in the hospital bed. See, I don't know about you. I'm going to count my blessings. And I won't complain, church. I look at my good days. And I look at my bad days. And when I look around, God has been good to me. Sometimes I have to cry. But God has been mighty good to me. Don't let me be selfish today. But has God been good to anybody else? Has he made a way out of nowhere? Paid your bills when you thought you were about to be shut off or put out? Has he turned your midnights into day? Look at your blessings today and know that God has been good to you. He woke you up early this morning, clothed you in your right mind. That's a blessing. He gave you the activity of your limbs, looked up and had shelter over your head. That's a blessing. But as I look back over my life, and I dare you to look back over your life, God has really brought you. He brought you over the hills. Look at your valleys. You were sinking, seeming to rise no more. But God turned your life around. Somebody was bound to drugs, bound to the casino, bound to alcohol, but turned your life around. So instead of complaining, count your blessings this morning. See, I thank God for Jesus, because he never complained. As he carried that old rugged cross on his shoulder for our sins, he never complained. When they placed that crown of thorns on his head, he never complained. When he marched to that hill called Calvary, and they beat him, he never complained. When they said he never said a mumbling word, he never complained. They stretched him wide and hung him high, he never complained. When they put the nails in his hands, the legs in his feet, he never complained. But I thank God for Jesus, because when they took him off the cross and buried him in the borrowed man's tomb, he stayed there all day Friday, all day Saturday, all day Sunday. But on Sunday morning, he got up with all power, put up in his hand. I tell you, keep on praising God in spite of your circumstances. Tell the Lord, I thank you. You have been good to me. It could have been me. It could have been you. And I won't complain. So instead of complaining, start counting your blessings. See, when you count your blessings, God will keep on blessing you. I thank God he has blessed me. I won't complain for the little things. I won't complain for not having this or that. I thank God for Jesus. Anybody know him? He's a rock in the weary land, a shelter in the time of storm. He'll be a mother for the motherless, father for the fatherless. He'll be a doctor doctor in the sick room. He'll be a lawyer in the courtroom. I thank God for Jesus. See, I won't complain. Every time I turn around, every time I turn around, every time I turn around, He shows left over and over again. I thank God for Jesus. I won't complain. Ain't nobody do me like Jesus. Ain't nobody do me like the Lord. I thank God for Jesus.
Yes, Lord.
So I thank you this morning, church. Don't complain. Just count your blessings. Thank you this morning.